Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Belegian.
He's Shep. I'm Sean. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you survived Death Storm. I mean, if you're watching right now, you did survive Death Storm.
Well, you're probably, bundled up in your house. You haven't left for 3 days. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Oh, Shep, to get hit like that, I don't know how much you had in your area. I think we had like just over 5, they said. To get hit like that, though, this time of year was a little strange. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, listen, it was the second coming of Siberia. I mean, I really thought for a moment there. I was in, parts of Alaska as well. I mean, it's amazing that in December, I don't know if you know this, Sean. I don't know how long you've lived in Michigan, but sometimes we get snow.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Do you remember a few years ago? What day was that? What day was that? It was, or what year was that? Maybe it was 2019 where we got bombed like on a Veterans Day. We got like 7-8 inches of snow. And it was like, wow, that's so weird. It could snow in November, right?
Hey, listen, I think it was 2018. My buddies and I played golf the week before Christmas. Wow. We played at Metamora. We couldn't believe it was open. It was $25. There was, one of the ponds was frozen, but we played. It was a really nice day, and I don't know how they were open on a Sunday. We played, I think, on the Sunday before Christmas. It was amazing. How was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a good time?
Yes, I was just complaining to Todd, though. It was one of those things. We had a lot of people over, and I don't know why this year, it gets to be, I don't know, like 8 o'clock at night, and I had zero interest in cleaning up.
Yeah.
And the strangest thing, Shep, you're not going to believe this. So I was like, I'm just going to leave it there. When I woke up in the morning, it was still there. And so I said, I'm going to go to work, and maybe, just maybe, those gremlins, they'll come in my kitchen and clean it. You're never going to believe it. When I got home from work, about 10:30 in the morning, it was still all there. So it was like literally an hour and a half of cleaning things up. But,
you cook. Oh, why? See, that's not how it works, man. You cook, other people clean up.
Here we are.
In fact, we had, over 30 people at our house. My sisters, as soon as dinner's over, they go right to the sink and they start doing those dishes, man. It is a major bonus. Speaking of bonuses,
yes, nice.
Thumbs up, thumbs down on Pat Fitzgerald as the Michigan State head football coach, because I think it's a good hire.
I like it. I like it. And
what do you like most about it?
Shep, I think this is a guy that when you take a look at what he did at Northwestern and what he had to deal with as well, multiple 10-win seasons, I think he's a guy that, preaches accountability. I forget about the stuff with him getting fired. I think we all know what that was kind of silly. Okay. But
it wasn't silly, but you can move past it. I mean, there are plenty of coaches who've moved past things. Have they not? Lane Kiffin, who just got the LSU job, he moved past some problems. Rick Pitino's moved past some problems. Jim Harbaugh moved past some problems. Pat Fitzgerald claims he didn't know. He won a lawsuit. Personally, I think head coaches probably should know what's going on in their program. It's hard to do that. Is that the worst thing that's ever happened? No. Is it really hard to win there? Yes. But 3 times winning double digits in 17 seasons in a place like that, where it's really hard to get into academically, and knowing that you're limited on the type of student athletes you can bring in, I think speaks volumes of what type of coach he was.
Yeah, and Shep, that's what I'm saying when it's kind of silly, because this is a scenario where the man literally filed a lawsuit and won the lawsuit. I'm not going to argue with that, but I once had Gary Pinkel tell me, and when he put it like this, I kind of said, I get where you're coming from. I firmly believe a head coach has to know what's going on. But what Gary Pinkel once told me, Shep, was I have to babysit 110 kids. All right. Yeah. And he said, I would love to tell you that I know exactly what's going on with 110 kids, but I don't. And I never really thought of it. And again, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe you should have a better gauge of what's going on. But I don't think that people understand that's a difficult proposition. So I want you to be sure and let the audience know. I'm not saying the hazing stuff is silly.
I know
I'm
you're not.
the fit stuff, that fits aspect of it was
That's all people are going to remember him
of
for
course,
is
of course.
not cool, number one. Number two, it's not just 110 players. You have to babysit coaches,
Mm-hmm.
graduate student who are trying to work their way into coaching. Anyone associated with your football program is oftentimes what people would say you have to somehow babysit. So it's hard to keep tabs on all of them. It really is. You need coaches you can trust. I think the beauty of what Pat Fitzgerald brings to East Lansing is I think he's got a pretty damn good idea of who his coaches are going to be. He can hit the ground running. He knows the landscape of the Big Ten. He knows the fertile ground that Michigan and the Midwest can bring. And he doesn't like Michigan. And I know people might not think that's a big deal, but from what I can tell in talking with a lot of Spartan fans and Spartan alums and Spartan former players, they didn't like Jonathan Smith's answer when people asked him about the University of Michigan. And that sticks with people. So that kind of can give you maybe a leeway into an extra half a year or year for some people's eyes. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's a really good hire.
I thought a guy like Jonathan Smith would understand it, or at least better understand it, considering where he came from as a player at Oregon State, who was I'm not being mean when I say it, but for the lack of better term, little brother in the state of Oregon and oftentimes overshadowed. I thought he would better understand it. By all accounts, Jonathan Smith was a really good guy. I don't know if you ever had a chance to talk to him. I did one time, Shep. Incredibly likable guy.
Yes.
I mean that. I am not saying that because of, well, you have to say nice things when a guy got fired, because now I'm going to ruin all that. There was absolutely no reason to justify bringing him back. There just wasn't. It was time to.
Well, so here's what I ask you, because I've got an idea of what I think is the turning point. When do you think the turning point was? When did people say, it's beyond fixable? The point of no return. Thank you, Kansas.
I have my own. I thought the game that we were at, the UCLA game,
yes,
was Shep. I think I told you to say there was a mass exodus in the second quarter would be an understatement. I'm not. Shaw was packed with kids walking out, and it made me sad. Does that it really did? It made me sad. I'm like, all right, I'm going to One North. I'm not doing this. I hear a big cheeseburger saying, Sean, I'm here. All right. Whatever those kids were doing on a Saturday afternoon, are you kidding me? They should be there having a blast. And that, to me, that was the one for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Some people may have thought the Rutgers game at the end of last year, right? The very last game of the season, when you had the chance to become bowl eligible and your team didn't look like it was ready to play. I thought the UCLA game, just because of what UCLA was dealing with, the turmoil that they were dealing with. And let's face it, I mean, homecoming in front of a lot of proud alum and laying an egg like that, getting booed, people leaving, it's tough to come back from something like that. It really is.
Yep. Let me get to some comments very quickly. Always nice to hear from our buddy Tom in London. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Let me see what Lions fan said. A career practice squad player is Tom Kennedy, the longest tenured player on a single team practice squad ever.
I don't know, but he had a pretty good game.
Finally looking ahead, Holmes throwing out long-term contracts like Oprah. You get an extension. Are now scaring me. Already nervous about dead money being thrown around.
Okay, so that's a good one. If you had one to take back, what would it be?
The extension wise,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to think about it. I don't really have a problem with any of them, Shep. I'm a believer in if you draft guys and if you believe in the guys, then you try to hold on to the guys, right? Which is next to impossible in today's NFL to hold on to everybody, like it was back in the day. But there isn't one that jumps out to me. Is there one for you?
Well, I agree with what you just said, but it depends on when you extend them. Did you have to extend Kirby Joseph when you did?
Fair enough.
Did you have to extend Aiden Hutchinson when you did? Did you have to extend Jamison Williams when you did? If you're going to extend Jamison Williams, because he didn't really do anything at the beginning of this year that I can recall that made you go, okay, that's it. There's the defining moment I got to do. Then why did you trade so much capital, move up and get Isaac Tesla?
Mm-hmm.
There are so many. I truly believe this. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I truly believe there's a moment here right now for Lions fans where they're starting to panic a little bit, and justifiably so, because of what they perceive to be soon to be cap hell and the amount of things that need to be addressed. If I may, Kirby Joseph says, my knee is really screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a concern. Alex Anzalone will probably not be back next year. You've got to fill a void there, okay? God knows you've got to fill a void at the opposite defensive end of Aiden Hutchinson, right? Is Terrion Arnold going to work out? He's on the IR, out for at least 4 weeks. Why would he come back if they're not going to be playing in the playoffs? There's no second-round pick from 2 years ago because Enos Rakestraw hasn't even developed into anything yet. How much longer does Taylor Decker really have in that body? Who takes his place? Giovanni Manu? What about the left guard? What do you do about the center position? Is David Montgomery coming back? How do you deal with a backup quarterback? There's a lot of question marks for this team, knowing that we put that off in the back of our mind because we thought it was Super Bowl or bust, Sean. Now that it's not, in all likelihood, unless they do something none of us anticipate, now that it's not, now what?
No, I 100%. Todd and I were talking before you came on, and Shep, I'm a firm believer in we all have to check ourselves sometimes because things aren't always linear. We have well, if you did this, then that means it's going to go. No, sometimes the trajectory goes like this. My biggest fear, I've said this for 2 years, my biggest fear, and take this in the context in which I'm saying it, I don't want to be the Baltimore Ravens. I don't want to be the Buffalo Bills. Okay. Wait, hey, we're really good. We're really good, but we're living in the shadow of someone else's era. And we're not able to punch that ticket. We're not able to, golly gee, we're really good. And we had a really fun era. I don't want to do that. And yet at the same time, Shep, like you said, I can take a deep breath and say we've got enough guys locked up, a pretty good core locked up to say that, okay, maybe this is a backstep. Maybe this is a backstep.
Mm-hmm.
And next year, we're ready to go. The injuries are unbelievable to me. And it's just, how can this keep happening to the same team? I mean, last year was something different, obviously, but just the news the last couple of days. I mean, honestly, what a week for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And by the way, can I say this? The conspiracy theories about Frank Ragnow are some of the unintentionally funniest shit, pardon my language, I've heard. Frank Ragnow is a freak of nature. And it surprised me this much, Shep, this much, when I heard, hey, guys, I got a little problem with my hamstring that maybe you should know about. Frank, your hamstring fell off. Oh, well, I told you there was something wrong. That's Frank. Shep, that's Frank Ragnow. That's well, he saw the Thanksgiving Day game and looked at the schedule and he said no thanks. No, that's Frank Ragnow. You're going to have to trust us when we say that.
Yeah, he's a special player. I don't know what that means either. By the way, I don't know if next year he's coming back, if the itch is there, and he's going to be with that team from day one. I am surprised. There's a number of things I'm surprised about with this franchise, considering how diligent they are in a lot of areas, that they didn't know about his desire to retire in the first place. I can't believe they knew. If they knew, it was derelict in duty, Sean. I mean, there's just, you cannot go into the off season or can't go into the draft and think, okay, well, we're going to lose our center. There's just no way. Okay. I mean, this team, their front office they just don't operate that way. Okay. So that's really surprising me with this. And I think right now, you bring up you got a good core, but remember this: Branch, Gibbs, Laporta, Campbell, as in Jack. I mean, how are you going to find room to sign some of those guys? You can't, not all of them.
You're
So
right.
you want Gibbs for sure. Laporta's proven to be really valuable. If people didn't believe in him before, I don't know what it's going to take because he's a really good blocker. He catches balls in traffic. He is not a guy that needs lanes in order for you to complete a pass. He can win 50-50 battles. And Jack Campbell truly is one of the better linebackers in all of football. What do you do? Okay. So I think there's a culmination here, Sean, that has a lot of people collectively hyperventilating about this team. Now, Lions fan goes on to say Hutchinson and Williams should have been fifth-year options and bye-bye. What if bye-bye? What if Aiden Hutchinson turns out to have this monster year? And you're going to say bye-bye after that? You can say that now, but because he's stuck on 8.5 sacks, but stop with the bye-bye that you would have given him a fifth-year option. If he had a phenomenal season, you'd be like, this is what you need, okay? These types of defensive ends are in desperate need around the league. Now, how much money you should have paid him is a different story. Hutchinson had 2 broken legs. Am I missing one there, Sean?
Didn't he in college as well?
Well,
I think he did in college as well, right?
okay.
I think that's what you're referring to, Lions fan. You can yell
Okay.
at me if I'm incorrect.
Yeah, this is funny because, and then of course the knee injury. The thing that I'm confused at, do we think that every player drafted in every round has never been injured in college?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Because just so people are aware, I mean, Miles Frazier had 50 starts in college,
Mhm.
and then he got hurt.
Mhm.
This is a news flash, but football is a collision sport. It's not a contact sport; it's a collision sport, man. So, you're not finding the perfect specimen in college. Sorry.
No, you're definitely not. You know what? Austin said something. I want to see what Austin said.
Well, Ben said Hutch hurt his ankle his junior year.
Yeah, I knew that was ankle or leg. I don't remember. I know there was a Scotty Bowman lower body injury involved in there
Yeah,
somewhere.
I didn't think he'd broken 2 legs, but his leg twice. Excuse me. Then maybe I'm wrong there. So
Didn't MSU learn not to hire people named John Smith? Who are we liking in the college football playoff other than the Buckeyes? Of course, I don't want to count out Georgia, right?
that's what I was going to say.
I don't want to count out Georgia.
But I'll tell you this: I don't want to get fooled by this team. Texas Tech is pretty impressive.
I agree.
I mean, they'll scare the hell out of you. They really will.
I agree. Oh, Mr. Positive. Let's bring in John Gruden to help Dan the Man, Mr. Positive, Detroit Radio, National Radio, and TV. And hello, friends. Jason up in Escanaba. How are you, Jason?
Hey, let me ask you this.
Yes.
And there's a long way to go here, but New England looks really good early on against the Giants.
Really do.
What if, and I was just saying this to somebody before we came on, I said, what if they get to a Super Bowl? And they said, the person said, oh, they're not getting to a Super Bowl. And I said, okay, who in the AFC is? And they're like, well, and they paused a long time. I said, I mean, Denver's offense isn't very good, man. Okay, their defense is outstanding, but their offense, come on, New England's pretty complete. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying they're pretty complete. Their quarterback looks like the real deal. There's nobody else in the AFC that is a guarantee. There's really nobody in the NFL you can say that about, especially after the Rams lose to Carolina, even though I still think they're the best team in the NFC. Can you imagine, Sean, if they lose Brady and Belichick and they're able to rebuild as quickly as they could and get back there because of their trigger primarily, and Detroit is still left on the outside looking in, wishing that they were invited to the party. That would be the ultimate cruel
Shep,
NFL God joke on us.
Shep, I think midnight struck for the Colts. I really do. I think you saw that coming. And in fairness,
I didn't. I can't say I saw it coming. They were the number 1 seed 2 weeks ago with a really good running game and a really good defense. I thought for sure they would bounce back last week.
I think when you heard about the leg with Indiana Jones, that was kind of like, okay, I know which direction this is going.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by that. I agree with you. We've been talking about on the morning. We both do Woodward. We've been talking about in the morning. Seriously, pick a favorite. Pick a favorite in the AFC right now. It's Trevor Lawrence time. Really, this is where we're at right now. It's
crazy,
amazing.
isn't it?
No, it is. It is.
It's really is the beauty of football. I said this afternoon. Think about this for a minute. You could legitimately have no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, and no CJ Stroud in the AFC. But you could have Daniel Jones, Drake May, Bo Nix, and
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Can you imagine?
Dude, that Texans team, I like that team a lot, Shep, and not for the reasons that you think. That defense is legit.
Oh, that's the reason I like them.
That defense is legit.
Anderson and Hunter are outside of, well, maybe Parsons and Gary, the best duo, defensive or pass edge rushing duo in all of football.
Why did you say his name? Don't just
Parsons.
Micah Parsons didn't make the Packers better, Shep, and anybody that says that's a moron.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on the Lions this year. I think it comes down to week 18 versus he whose name we do not speak, as the script writers intended. Wouldn't that be funny?
So they're not giving up on the Lions. Good for them. I mean, they're stronger than I am. You're going to go up against the number one passing team in the NFL, in the Cowboys, who also protect their quarterback with the second best pass rush rate in the league.
Don't like
against a team that has 4 sacks in the last 4 games.
I don't like it.
Who's going to cover George Pickens?
That's what
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. That's what terrifies me.
Let's just say they get by. They get by Dallas. You like them against the Rams? Mm-hmm. Who's covering Nakua? Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams.
Henry
Ellis. And who's gonna who's gonna try and Matthew Stafford's gonna pick them apart. And let's just say you get there. And then the Steelers, I get it, and the Vikings perhaps, and then you got to go outside to show. I mean, you are really positive. And by the way, Minnesota's defense is still pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing that I worry about is what if JJ decides on that day he's just going to turn into 9, and there's nothing you can do, Shep. There's nothing you can do.
I know. Well, that's something that happens as soon as he starts to meditate underneath the goalposts. I don't know if you know that. Just be careful there, all right? He just turns into 9. And by the way, he played pretty well against the Lions.
I know.
Last time he played.
Only good thing about the Lions is an easier schedule next week. Had to make chili tonight in celebration of surviving Death Storm 1 of the winter. Godspeed, Jason. Texans have 2 bookend DEs would be nice, huh? I like that Texan team. Hey, when it comes time to get yourself a house, whether you're buying something, oftentimes both you need to contact the right agent that we recommend. And she's good, Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up in the area. She's expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. So when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyer, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Shep, again, Terry and Arnold out. Never in a million years, did I expect that, and it's the NFL, injuries are going to happen, but my goodness gracious, for it to happen 2 years in a row, especially when it happens, it really is amazing. And I want to state for the record, I do not believe in curses. I do not believe in they're never going to win. I don't allow my brain to think that way. I watch wretched franchises get the right people in place. The New Jersey Devils, the Mickey Mouse Wayne Gretzky never said anything offensive in his whole life except but once. And he called them a Mickey Mouse franchise. And then what happened. The Golden State Warriors, my brain doesn't work that way, Shep. Right. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say the Golden State Warriors. I mean, that's another really good one, right? So why can't it happen to the Lions? I agree. Look, let's keep it closer to home. Pistons just won 98 or 99-98, okay? Mm-hmm. Came down to the wire again. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, they won 14 games. They were an extended laughing stock of the NBA to a certain extent, not for a long period. They're not the equivalent of the Cleveland Browns, right? But still, it was an embarrassing. They went through a 28 game losing streak. It's a little different in basketball and football, right?
Yeah.
Trying to overcome that. So I don't think the Lions have to necessarily do that, but I do think fans are looking for this from the front office. Are you willing to admit? And I'm not talking about a public apology or anything like that. I'm just talking about in your actions. Are you willing to say, you know what? I've got to start doing things differently. We all have to self-evaluate, Sean. All right. Dan Campbell had to self-evaluate after going for it on fourth down and missing the last 7 times and recognizing, you know what? I don't have Frank Ragnow at center. I don't have Kevin Zeitler at right guard. So maybe I have to rethink going for it on fourth down every once in a while because I don't have the personnel to do it like I did a year ago or even the year before. So my hope is that through this painful season so far, and I don't want it to end, but if it does, somehow, some way, the front office goes, you know what? We've got to reevaluate some things. As good as we've gotten, we've got to figure out a few other things that we need to get done in order for us to take it over the top.
I have no problem if they decide to go trenches. And I hate being at that point where we're thinking about the draft already, but we're creeping closer to that. And I think
you and I have lived through that. We lived through that years and years and years where it was just a little bit earlier than it was this year. Look, you know me, Sean. I've been the odd man out. People love, I mean, you and I worked with people. Oh, you've got to draft this guy, the wide receiver from this school. And I want the big nasties up front. That's how you win.
Wins.
Period. And I wish people would recognize that. You can have the shiny toy here and a shiny toy there. Who's going to cover this guy? You've got, especially Detroit, when you've got a guy who's earning over $50 million, and we all know he's very effective. He can be very effective, but not if he's getting pressure. And not many quarterbacks can do this, okay? But knowing who he is, fixing the guys up front has to be paramount.
Yep. Draft large people. I love that. Ben, Tampa has a couple of Super Bowls. I mean, they were
Brad Johnson and Tom Brady. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Shep, let me get to this. All About Catering LLC, full service caterer, graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. For Rick and his staff, customer service and satisfaction is the number one goal. So don't sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today. Check out their menus and all the 5-star reviews, or you can give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Shep, your takeaway from the game. I know we talked about it, a week ago, and it was kind of funny. We both said if Ryan Day goes in there and plays the Ryan Day game, I think Ohio State wins handily. And I think you saw that after some early hiccups. You saw Ohio State do Ohio State things and kind of show everybody why they're going to, in all likelihood, be the number 1 seed heading into the college football playoff.
Yeah, and I think Michigan is they're just another team. Okay,
Yep.
They're a good team. They're not a great team by any stretch. They really haven't beaten anybody. They're and I hate to put it that way. That's callous. It's not fair because they have beaten teams. They beat Washington, for example, but there's no win on their schedule that makes you stop and go, whoa, okay, now that's impressive, right? There's plenty of teams with those on their schedule. So a little bit of a debate today on the Braylon Edwards show where I said, look, everybody's got to take responsibility. Sharon Moore, Chip Lindsey, especially.
Mm-hmm.
In general, Sharon Moore, because you've got to bring in bigger and better dudes. Bryce Underwood and Braylon didn't like that all that much. He's like, you could say that, but I disagree. Look, you got to throw for more than 63 yards against Ohio State. All right. You got to find a way to use him. That's on the OC. But if you're not going to give the OC credit for him throwing for, 200 plus yards and 2 touchdowns and people calling him Superman after a win over Central Michigan, that shouldn't mean a whole lot, and rushing for over 100 yards against the Chippewas, then you better make sure when he struggles that it's on him too. Okay. So I'm sorry. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too in that regard. And he hasn't been good enough in a lot of situations. And he doesn't help himself when he comes out there and says, "You've never seen a freshman like me." And he goes on a podcast and talks about how, Ohio State's never going to win while I'm here. That's not necessary. Okay. You haven't done anything to warrant those type of words. You want to look at what Michigan's done in the past over the last 4 years. You weren't part of that. You were playing football at Belleville, for crying out loud. Doesn't mean I don't think he's good. Doesn't mean I don't think he's got a really bright future. He does. But there's a lot to learn there. And it's another proof that it's the ultimate team sport and he needs some help. And they didn't necessarily give it to him, but he sure didn't look all that comfortable against Ohio State in the cold, against a really good defense.
Everything Bryce throws is just a fastball. Work on that touch. That swing pass that he threw was a bullet. Yeah. Who was he throwing to in the second quarter? He threw a bullet at him. You could see the guy's kind of looking at him like, dude, I like the guy a lot. I think Bryce has a bright future, but I said this at the beginning of the year. I say it now. There is no possible way that you can rely on a freshman quarterback. Okay. The examples are few and far between. We mentioned Trevor Lawrence earlier. For every Trevor Lawrence, I can tell you guys that Shep, I say it all the time. Charlie Ward was so bad at Florida State. They were talking this guy up, and I remember how bad Charlie Ward was. And then the next year he came in and it was like, geez, OP. I mean, there's a reason why it takes some quarterbacks time, and there is some development that has to go.
Well, okay, and you're fair in all that. It's an honest assessment, and I greatly respect it. Arch Manning earlier this year, people were making fun of him. Mm-hmm. Okay. And a lot of people said, well, that's because of the hype machine. Okay, well, his last name, sure, he's doing commercials. There's a lot of guys doing commercials, I might add. The national hype machine, that's not his fault. Okay, he was a high recruit. All people started doing is them breaking down who his high school team had played. And suddenly he helps his team, and it's a really good team around him, much better than Bryce Underwood has, beats Texas A&M, the number three team in the country. Not that they're in the college football playoff, but maybe the kid has actually done some decent things this year. He's had an up and down season. Bryce Underwood's had an up and down season. How good would Bryce Underwood be with Justin Sayen's weapons around him and an offensive line and a creative offensive coordinator? I don't know. But you would think he'd be a little bit better than he was against the Buckeyes.
I think so. And, I respect the Arch Manning thing, but I mean, a true freshman, that's different. It just is. I mean, whether a guy's sitting, whether he comes in for mop-up time, you come in, you're a true freshman. I think it's different. And I'm not making excuses because Shep will be the first guy to say it. I said at the beginning of the year, I thought he'd do this, and he didn't. Look, he didn't do this year. Let's be completely honest. There wasn't. What's the old adage? Well, when you're 7, 8, 9 games in, are you really a newcomer? Are you really a freshman anymore? I didn't see progression this year, but I know, the Maryland game, if you want to say it, you can say that there was a little progression there, I guess, but it was Maryland. So
I agree with that. It's just that, when you bring up Arch Manning last year, how many passes did he throw?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 90, something like that. How much is enough, I guess.
Yeah.
And the other question I then ask people is, when do you stop becoming a freshman? Tate Ratledge earlier this year, what did he say? We're no longer rookies after week 4 or week 5.
I feel the same way. I always
And then the last thing is, and I'm sorry, but this is a factor, and this is the way college athletics is, it's just like the pros. When you and I talk about Aiden Hutchinson, eventually one of us is going to bring up how much money he makes.
How to do it.
Okay. So if Bryce Underwood is making that kind of money, there's a reason you're paying a kid at that level, no matter whether he's 18 or if he's 22, you're paying him a lot of money to do what? More than what he's done.
Shep, I went through that last year with Aiden Childs. Okay. Come on. He's new. Oh, come on. And I'm like, hey, all that. I'm sorry. Right, wrong, or indifferent, when you're making $863,000 a year, we got to have those conversations. That's just the way it is now, man. That's right, wrong, or indifferent. You
can't say that you want all that money, or you can't say you got to pay these kids that much money and then try to protect them with a blanket when they're not playing well enough, and the media and fans want to come after them.
All right, one last thing before we get out of here. If you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than those handsome guys right there who gave me a Thanksgiving pie last week. Thank you. Located in downtown Northville, owned by those two handsome brothers right there. They have over 20 years of industry experience. They understand your financial goals are as unique as you are. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. That's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now you're saving for retirement, you're ready to get started, maybe you're ready to sell a company. Doesn't matter. These guys have been there, done that, seen it all. They work with clients throughout all stages of life. They have clients in over 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. So if you're ready to start taking your finances just a bit more seriously, it's time to work with the experts. Reach out to the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574 or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Shep, anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think it's absolute bullcrap that you get a pie and I don't.
You should, you know what? Come over. What do
I got to do? I don't understand.
Well, I've gotten older.
Just because you say they're handsome, I'll say they're handsome. I say I like their suits. I think it's a really good picture. What the hell does it take for me in order to get a pie? All I want is a pie.
I never used to be much of a pie guy, Shep, and I'll tell you what, I did some serious damage late Thanksgiving. By the time that third football game came on,
I bet you did.
I did some serious.
I bet you walking up those stairs, you might take your elevator in your house, but walking up those stairs, oh man, that's gonna take a long time after a while after you eat all that pie. Yeah.
I do. Like it's like Homer Simpson pie. Get Shep some apple pie. Shep's good.
Thank you.
I will do that.
I'll take some ice cream a la mode. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Todd.
Shep, always a pleasure, Todd, and thank you guys.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.